And welcome to a lesson on adding feel to your playing. My name is Brett Papa, and so today what we're going to go over is one of the most important things you'll ever learn as a guitar player. And I'm just going to give you some ideas, some tips, so a couple things to work on to add into your own playing. So a lot of what we hear, know, and love in our favorite guitar players isn't necessarily always the notes they play, which is, super important, but it's the feel that they add to the notes. Now, if you're a beginning, intermediate player, or technically you're an advanced player, but you don't have feel in your playing, sometimes it's kind of that gap, it's that missing link. Now, if you're a beginner and you can't technically go all over the fretboard like you would like, or an intermediate player, can't move as fast as you want or whatever, not that speed's totally important, but a way to dramatically improve your playing is adding feel. So the biggest feeler, if you will, if I can say, is vibrato. And that can be something that you're doing with a bend or just stationary notes. So if we took, a simple A chord, and say our song's an A or whatever, and we're soloing an A minor or A major, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to show you some notes. I'm going to show you how to add the feel. There's what's called a quarter note bend. Now, a quarter note bend is not bending up a half step or a whole step. It's that in between, right? Quarter. It's in between stationary and a half bend. Okay, so rather than just going, right, and doing that, you can go, right? It's just that little tug. You're not quite getting from a minor third to a major third, but it's right in between. Right? Now, if you saw, I kind of did a little vibratian slip, a Freudian slip, if you will, on guitar, and added vibrato to the last note. But my riff, if we just took that very simple riff, added that quarter note bend, right? And I'm just drawing it out for as an example. And then did the same thing, but added some mojo to it, right? A little shaking and baking. Suddenly it has dramatically more feel than. Okay? Now, a tip on vibrato is I wouldn't necessarily say to try to get the vibrato from our fingers, right? That's what, you have to use your fingers, right? But the muscle behind the vibrato from your fingers. Try instead using your muscles of your forearm and keeping your fingers stiff, and use your rocking of your hand and your wrist, kind of like a pendulum, as a way to get smoother vibrato. My finger's stiff, and it's my hand going like this that's providing the vibrato itself. And I do the same thing when I do those bends. I'm using this pole of my whole hand, if you can see it move, to get the actual bending of the note. Now, another thing that you can do is sliding. A lot of people, when they do slides, they just go, okay? So that's two notes, 1, 2, and then pull off A. One thing I really like to do is you use two notes, but you make it sound like one. It's a very quick slide. Right? So it's, you start here, but it's so quick it sounds like one note. So it's, right? So instead of going, it's, right? So you can do that in lots of places. Right? I did it right there. And a cool thing about that too is it allows you to go more space in less time, so you can stay rhythmically in the pocket easier and do bigger position shifts. Say you want to get up to the, right? So I moved a lot of space. with just one. So with that, let me break this down. Where that comes into play is when the drummer's. If I went. Or I can go. I move greater distances in the same amount of time in the beat, right? So I can get up to that last high note in a shorter amount of time, right? So I can move all over the fretboard, start from here and end up here, right in that little pocket of time I have left till the transition or whatever. So you can do that. Quick slides. Right? Or see how quick it went? Right? Much less time, same notes, same distance, quicker. Okay? Did a little pull. Now another thing you can do when you're doing actual bending is add feel. So when we're a beginner, bending's hard enough as it is. But say you get it, right? Maybe you come to it quickly and you're like, I got this, bending's freaking no problem, right? Then try to add vibrato. So you want to get to the pitch, release a little bit lower, and then back up. Now again, use that rocking motion and try to do it from the wrist. Okay, so. Now one of the things you can do is bend to pitch, hold the note for a little bit, then add vibrato. Full David Gilmour trick. Super tons of feel. It'll just ooze off your fretboard, right? Also the speed at which you bend. Right? So I could have gone and just bent up to the note, but I went super slow, got to pitch, held it, then rocked it. So you got. Now another trick you can do for adding feel is not always just bending up. Sometimes you can bend up to the note without hitting it, then hit it and come down. It's called a reverse bend. So you can go. Right? Tons of feel. You might hear it, sometimes you hear people go. Right? I'm just at that 5th fret. You know, we're still in A minor pentatonic. I'm using the 3rd string and I'm bending up on the 7th fret, going down a little bit, and then all the way, pulling off. Right? I did that little, so we got. Right? I did all the tricks I talked about, right? We did the reverse bend. I did the quarter note. The quick slide. Quarter note bend again. Much more exciting than just. Or. Right, you got. So it's just little tiny things you can add to your phrasing, just simple tweaks, right? Just a little one of those, and it helps if you make a funny face, like you got freaking lemon juice in your mouth or like something really sour. You make the ugly face, and it helps to connect. But anyways, feel is super important. So that's one of the things I always try to get through to my students in the beginning as well. If you can start in the beginning and get that, and bending is a pain in the butt, you know, in the beginning. So if you can just start by sliding, adding a little bit of feel to it. You can't bend all the way so you don't get the strength, but you can do a little one. Add some vibrato to it. The slide thing, you don't have to be able to do anything but move your hand quick to do the slide. Right? And then just add a little something at the end, and it will remarkably improve how the emotional side of your playing comes through, right? You hear Hendrix, you hear all these blues greats, Stevie Ray Vaughan, even guys that rip like Van Halen. A humongous part of why they're so good is how they're able to communicate emotion or feel through their playing. That's what sucks you in. So if you're going to spend, your time on stuff, yeah, get your technique up, work on your speed, and how fluid you are, but don't ever forget feel. I would say at least 60 to 75% of what you do, feel, whether it's playing chords, single notes, everything you do that can connect you emotionally with the guitar will pay off huge in the end. So give that a shot. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.